Welcome back to Food with Life.
The number one cause of cancer, let me put it, the number one cancer group in America today is vegetarians. It comes from soybean.
Yes.
They won't have a debate about is soybean good or soybean. There is no debate. The black scientist, George Washington Carver, at Tuskegee, Alabama, invented soybeans for the United States government, the military. They said, we want you to create something that out of it we can get rayon, nylon, paint, ink, glue, and plastic. About 80 years ago, they made a car out of soybean.
Yes.
And so now you have people that get cancer. I have a daughter that eats pure than anybody could ever want to eat. She just had major surgery because she couldn't be convinced that soybean. Most of the fibroid tumors in America, soy product. And so when you stop and think about what they're able to do, America is the only country in the world that can genetically engineer the food and don't have to label it. Every place in the world, you have to label it except here.
What about organic soy?
There is no, see, we always keep looking for something.
Yes.
Soybean was not made for human consumption.
For animals.
It wasn't even made for animals, okay? And so consequently, we keep saying, well, what about organic this? Well, let's look at organic. They make organic tomatoes, crossbreed with a fish cell. What does that mean? That means the tomato can hold water. So you put a tomato on your kitchen table and leave it there for 6 weeks, it's just pretty and red. The people who eat those tomatoes, their body holds water. So when I go to my doctor and the doctor knows nothing about this and check me, he think I need water pills. He think I'm having a problem with something malformed. They do this for all kinds of, for instance, on solar power, there's an expiration date. Once it passed that date, those chemicals turn into a mild poison. They wouldn't kill you. They got a case in federal court now in northern Dallas where they found out Coca-Cola was taking the expired soda pops out of the white community, taking them to this warehouse, redating them and put them in the black community. Now, are the pharmaceutical companies doing the same thing? Well, I mean, is Coca-Cola the only one in the Fortune 500 company that's ornery and vicious and ungodly? They all doing it. And so consequently, you know, even when you talk about, look, if you and I grew 10,000 acres of grain and decided we're going to give it to starving nations, we can't, because that grain is licensed. It's just like if Stevie wanted to do a song, you can't use it without his permission. That's where they are. That's where they are today. And so they do anything they want to do.
Well, they give us what they want, not what we want.
Well, they give us what we take.
Yeah, we take it.
And we've been taking it for long to rise up and act against it. Somebody say something. So they're trying to get legislation now that if you even hint that somebody's doing something wrong to the food, that's a felony.
Right.
That's about to get through. I can't think of the number that's on it. That's about to be pushed through now.
Right, but that's also manipulated also by the companies.
Sure.
You know, like the bio.
But there'll be some of us that'll be willing to go to jail.
Let me ask you then, you know, there's a big controversy about what kids need in food and what kids get in food. You know, and there's so much with school lunches and all this that kids are eating the junk food. Take for granted, unfortunately, that's the case. So is there any food, one food you could recommend, or two foods, that perhaps would be maybe more of an ideal food, a well-balanced food, having nutrients, but maybe perhaps hopefully organic, you know, thing that you might think would be a good...
Well, you see, one day soon we're going to have to stop talking about that and talk about the seeds. Who controls the seeds?
Yes.
If you was a farmer in this country, if you don't buy those genetically engineered seeds, you can't get your farm grain.
No, I know, because then there
Okay, so they got you boxed in for everywhere.
Right.
So we want to make it sound simple and say, what can we do with children? I'm not interested in children. If the old folks
yes.
rise up and say you're not going to do it, the children are safe.
Right, they follow.
You know, and so this is again, you know, you see this Desanti water that's made by Coca-Cola. One day this week, pull up on your computer, the largest fine in the history of Europe was against Coca-Cola because they found out that the Santi water is nothing but tap water purified with arsenic and benzene.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
and so you go here, you come in this hotel, there's no water sold in this hotel but the Santi water because they had that type of power.
Mm-hmm.
We might have almost let them go too far. You know, how do you pull it back in? You got to do it. You have to have enough people with the courage to do it. But the school lunch program, these are this big bunch of conglomerate thugs
Right.
that put it in there, and it's not going to be a walk in the park. Look, if you wanted to change something, you organize a group and you call for a boycott of Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Now here's what I mean. In America, 82% of all retail takes place between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Mm-hmm. You got companies stay in business all year and lose just to, now, once you threaten to do that, then they will go in and change the laws. Why do the turkey industry have to suffer? Because these folks are not going to do that, or these folks are not going to do that. That's what you have to do, and you got to sit down and you got to plan it, and you got to really look into it and feel it, because what they're able to do now and get away with. I'll give you an example. If you took your camera and went across the country into the black community.
This is Food with Light. We'll be right back. Stay with us.